what ends up happening a lot of times is we're in this open guard position, whether they've broken up my legs, whether they're passing, and they start to initiate the pass, and I'm behind. Turn just a little bit. And you can see that I've framed, he's not on me yet, but getting out of this position is very difficult. What I see is this positioning with the legs. Go back. And that's because I was here, and as he stepped around, my feet got caught in this position. Now, this is a strong framing position, but it is not easy for me to turn over. So when he's putting pressure into me, I see a lot of people bridge like they want to turn over. All right, you're out of here, please, sir. What we need to realize is that even without an opponent bridging, it's difficult for me to bring my hip over top, especially with somebody trying to crush me in a tournament setting. They're not going to give me anything. So I'm here. What we need to understand is that turning the hips over is the first step in making sure that I can belly down. So hips and shoulders, they can happen simultaneously, but the hips need to happen. Rather than bridging and pushing into someone with our frame, what I need you to do is take this leg that's on the bottom, and I need you to thread it underneath to turn. And what that does is that starts to orientate my hips, but also my chest towards the floor. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be possible. So here, we frame hard, that leg comes underneath, and then we belly down. Mr. Jake. So we're going to go through a series of movements with that today. He cuts the corner. I'm framing. Turn. Watch my feet. So I'm framing. My leg comes underneath. I belly down. You can see I grab the outside of the ankle. I got my hand on the outside of the knee, and I'm just going to hit my knee tap. Don't worry about where to end on the knee tap. We're using this conceptually. So I'm here. Oh, right? Don't bridge. Thread. Belly down, knee tap. If you want to hop to the other side, that's okay. One more time. A little bit different angle again. Oh, crushing me, right? Thread the needle. That foot comes underneath to belly down. Make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Very important. Ready? 1, 2. What we just worked on, forget about that, right? We're going to come back to it in a moment. I'll show you how it applies, but now we need to understand what I saw the problem was at the tournament. So I see a lot of people getting to this quarter guard position here. There are 3 modes of control: underhook, cross face, back flat. If people get the cross face and the underhook, that's typically how they get the person back flat. I am very, very happy to report I believe the underhook is king. None of our students gave up the underhook, okay? That means it's very difficult also to come get the cross face, because without the underhook, when I start to get down, it puts a weird binding inward pressure on my knee. So what ended up happening is people laid and draped the arm, but then people started to control and they started to pull up on this, and you can see that that is another way to get the back flat. This is a fairly common way to get the back flat. Not here, I don't teach it a lot, but a lot of schools use that as a primary way. I understand that. And so as an instructor, I feel like I failed a little bit because I haven't talked about how to deal with this. And people try to do this to me all the time, and it doesn't work. Today I'll show you why, okay? But first we need to understand the pass. Controlling a hold of the lapel, I want the hand and the knuckles to be below the armpit. At any point through this sequence, if he gets lazy with that arm and lifts it up, we always come straight into the underhook. Underhook is king, okay? But Jake does the right thing. He's nice and tight, right? So I'm going to punch here, I'm going to pull here. There are a couple of variations of this. Some people like to come up here and drop their elbow. That's not what we're doing. Make sure that you keep a stiff arm. From here, I'm going to turn that knee back. When my hips clear, I want you to pop all the way up to your feet. You cannot stay here, otherwise that leg is going to start coming around the head. That's best case scenario. Worst case is that leg. Yes, that would be terrible. So you absolutely must finish up in this squatted position. Let's look at it again. Quarter guard, lapel. Down below the armpit. Controlling, I'm pulling up, I'm stiff arming, I turn that knee back and pop up. For right now, don't worry if they hold on and latch on with the legs, different set of movements. It's more about getting their back flat and sitting here. It might take a little while to clear that ankle, but it is a dominant position to keep the arm stiff. That make sense? Mm-hmm. Let's get it. Bad technique, it's a great technique, but I have a natural propensity to defend against that because of the way that I hold my half guard. Half guard traditionally, a lot of people play it with a triangle. I don't want to say ever. I very rarely triangle my legs. And here's why. It has locked my hip. There is no way for me to come up on top without overcoming the distance between my hip and my knee. I have to giddy up. I can do it on my elbow, but it has orientated my back, lower back, towards the floor. You can see that my top hip is behind my lower hip. And so what you notice is that I play half guard this way. Now, it gives me the ability to tuck that shoulder, but my hip is already orientated towards the ground. So when all that fighting starts to happen, it's very easy for me to just roll up on top of that shoulder. Jake. So this same position that we were just looking at right here, when he wants to start pulling up on this arm, I defend it, one, by pulling that bottom shoulder, but by turning the top shoulder over top of it. And once I've done that, he's lost the ability to push with that arm. This is a rough position, ladies and gentlemen. You don't ever want to be here. So here, this is a good half guard. Get up, please. You can see that my chest is angled towards the floor, my top knee is over my bottom knee, and my hip is turned over. We all see this, right? Now, I play a lot of pocket, a lot of 2-on-1, a lot of half guard, a lot of out the back. Does that make sense? Who here has had me knee them in the butt and come out the back? Right? It's one of my best moves. I love that move. And everyone starts copying that, and they think that the knee is very important, and it is. It is half of the equation. It forces them forward and stops them from moving back and putting their weight on top of you. But what everyone misses is the bottom hip. So when I'm pushing forward with my top knee, my bottom leg is look it, my hips are automatically pendulum, like automatically turning towards the floor. You don't have to do anything, but it has to be a skipping motion because that's what turns your hips over. In the moment when they're going forward, your belly is already angled towards the floor. So that's what we're going to do. You absolutely must keep your hand glued. We cannot allow them to have an underhook. This is also going to turn into mount defense in a few minutes, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this hand's job is just to stay here around the back of the thigh. From here, we'll turn over. You can see that my hip is orientated here, and when I push, I'm going to start to come out the back, even if they have control of the sleeve. Jake. So, same position. He's getting control of that sleeve. That's a bad thing, right? So I start to turn here. He's trying to pull up. That's bad, right? Pull up with this, right? He's pulling. So I'm going to push with my knee and straighten my bottom leg, and I'll start to scoot out the back. It doesn't look beautiful, but it is extremely powerful. Let's look at it again. I'll show you a couple of different angles. So I'm here. You see how my shoulder is out? That's not good, right? So I'm turning my shoulder over. I'm going to push with my bottom knee and straighten my bottom leg and come out. Let's look at what just the legs are doing. So I'm here. You can see that my leg is over. Active pressure down. Pushing forward, extending that bottom leg. And you see how my pelvis is laying on the back of the calf, ladies and gentlemen? That's important because it applies pressure to the knee and stops them from going to mount. The only way that they can go that doesn't have pressure on the knee is in that direction, which opens up the back control for me. One more angle. So I'm here. He's pulling up on that, right? I'm going to give a push and extend and out the back. If the person holds onto the sleeve, it's okay. This will still work. Sometimes it goes to a reset where you both go to your knees or stand up, but you didn't get your guard pass, and we're talking about a pretty negative position. Hand on the lapel, hand on the sleeve, trying to take your back towards the floor. What I want at first, a good training partner, no resistance the first time. After the second set of reps, 5%. After the third set of reps, 10%. Work yourself up to 15, 20% resistance. It's not fighting each other, but I need the person that is doing the technique to feel that active resistance of the person on top so that you can feel how your lower legs and body is not dominated, although your upper body is. Does that make sense? Please extend the bottom leg as hard as you push with the top leg. Let's get it. 1, 2. So there's a lot of natural defense to the body, the angle, and the hips as well. I think pretty generally people understand that turning the chest is good jiu-jitsu, but people a lot of times favor triangling the legs rather than turning over the top hip. And that one's not wrong, it's just one's a preference for me. It makes me less susceptible to this move. Now, there are multiple ways to flatten someone out. And so the way that is still viable is using that knee on the hip. So they get in here and the person is tucked over, so I elevate, I use that knee and I flatten them out. But now my knee isn't on the floor anymore and there's a little bit of an angle for this leg. I'm a realist, that happens sometimes. This arm becomes extremely important. There cannot be any space in here because if my knee slides off the hip, I go into 3/4 mount, game changer. Our options are totally different out of there. This absolutely must stay tight here. And you'll have opportunities to take underhooks. Don't take underhooks. Hug here tight so that they don't get the knee to the floor. Does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, no underhook as well. So 1, 2, a good training partner will elevate and use that knee to turn the hip over. All right, let's see how we deal with that. So, did a good job. I'm turned out to the side. He starts to turn me up and pull. 1, you see that I immediately put that hand underneath the far knee. Pull up on it. He'll pull against his own leg. He can't do it. Now, I'm going to give him a gentle, meandering push with my knee in the butt. A gentle, meandering push with my knee in the butt. I highly suggest that the person on top lets go and they base so that their face doesn't smash into the floor. With that being said, they can let go with either hand, and my response is going to be a little bit different. I rotate in the direction, or I lead to the direction on whichever side they let go. For right now, today, I want you to let go with this inside hand, okay? So I'm still tight here. I give him a little bit of a push. Now I'm still in line with him. Turn. The hand that let go, it comes to the top of the kneecap, and now look, I'm dropping the other knee over top. You can see that my hip is coming over top of it, and I lay on top of it. You must grab extremely close to the top of that kneecap. If you don't, you will be susceptible to a reverse triangle. If your hand is there, it'll give you just enough pressure on that knee that they can't easily bend it, and then you belly flop on it, and there won't be any more reverse triangle. But it is an important step. Let's look at it again. Oh, this is bad. He starts to lift me up. Bang, I came in control. Gentle, meandering push with the knee. Control the top of that kneecap and lay on top of the leg. One more time. Any of your deep half sweeps will work there. This is just the one that we're using for right now. So I'm here, right? He starts to lift up underneath. Right, I'm trying to force that knee to the inside. Really turn me over. He turned me over. Gentle, meandering push with the knee. It won't take much, ladies and gentlemen. And then out the back. If you give a lot of horsepower with that knee, it doesn't take much. Both of their hands are taken. They'll go on their face. Be gentle. Ready? 1, 2.